I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast and Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. So we're at the end of the first week. And so number one thing that I came to today is every day you guys need to report on two things, and that's quantity and quality. So that to maximize your return to get the most sales, with the least effort is to go ahead and have the perfect blend of quantity and quality. So if you have a huge amount of quantity without quality, you make 100 sales calls a day, and you don't have quality, you'll produce very little. If you have huge quality, you make one great phone call, like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest phone call in the world. But it's only one. It's not going to be. You got to have a blend of both. The quality. So the pressure point analysis, Nora and Becky are using that, and so that's good. And so they, Kenny used to use it in the past, and so that has the ability to measure both, and you have where every day you know how many points you get. So in sales, almost all sales is in the mind. It's how we think. I was talking to Nora, and this week has been crazy in sales. Just crazy in sales. And so my record in selling Action Vision is 3 Action Visions in one day. And I told them, I said, ooh, it'd be really cool to get 5 in one day. Now, if an average sale, if you get an intermediate one and the average sale is $50,000, 5 of them in one day would be $250,000 of sales in one day. And so you guys coming next week, and so where you all just go through and just have, I don't know, your total number. Here's how many sales points I've had. And then you have, I don't know, quantity, quality. I don't know, but you have that from your PPA and you start watching that. The other thing you guys struggle with is you guys like here, like where are you guys going to make most of your money?
Developing others.
Yeah, developing others. It's leverage. So they got to have a really good training, right here. So what I'm doing is I'm working behind the scenes to go ahead and build that training program. And so, the instructions that I gave Adam and David have not been followed. So I'm building out a follow-up system for you guys to train other people. And so you guys need out-of-body experience, which is where you go ahead and see, okay, this is what I'm learning, but what is Mark teaching us? So we talked about that this week. So this system, last night Anita emailed and said, do I need to, I can do this. Well, it should be just a machine throughout when we're doing this, you guys are taking notes, and then you get that over to Adam and David, and they just go in. And so Anita shouldn't even be needed. I shouldn't be needed. You guys just get over the notes to them and they go ahead and do it. And here's week 1. And then at the end of week 1, what's the number one takeaway points? And then, okay, week 2, this is what we're going into. So planning out your appointment. So over the weekend, it's self-discipline. If you didn't make the quantity and quality of calls that you need to make, then you work on Saturday. You just do. You make sacrifices. You punish yourself. You discipline yourself and say, I'm not going to do this if I don't get this done. And if you don't self-discipline yourself, then you won't go ahead and correct the behavior. And then you review the whole week, and then you get a plan for next week. So when you hit Monday morning, you know what you have to do. You got everything set up. You have everything, in place. And so Kenny was one of the youngest, I think, group leaders in the RV factory. And so why is that? You know, it's a combination of a number of things. And he was really young when he was in he's not real old now, but he was really young when he was in that. But he was struggling in those areas. He was struggling with the people side of it. Like, and that's just natural. So in sales, you've got to get out, you got to get out and you got to keep out in front of situations. So those are the 2-3 major things that I had for you guys today. And so you guys need to learn to work together, power of one, the force of one. You guys need to learn to work together in that. All right, Nora, what'd you have for today?
So yesterday, the books that we sent out, yesterday I actually got a call from one of the clients. So when I sent them out, I sent everybody or called everybody and told them that they were coming and that I would be calling again to see what they thought about it. Um, but I actually had a client call me instead of me calling them. So I thought that was really cool.
It
Um,
is really cool. This is
yeah.
what's amazing is how easy sales can be. So what Nora did is Nora went ahead and sent something out, and then she went ahead and made a phone call. So when you send something out, email or whatever, if you do a email and a phone call together, it's more effective than the email or the phone call because there's 3 types of learning modalities: visual, verbal, kinesthetic learning. We learn by seeing, by hearing, or by actually touching. And so with this here, you're going to touch, and when they hold something, they can touch it and they can see it. So they can touch it, so visual, and they can actually experience it. So this is why new salespeople will often be more successful than experienced salespeople, because experienced salespeople can get lazy. So it takes a tremendous amount of discipline. And so somehow Nora's got to go ahead and embed that into her DNA and say, I need to make phone calls. Like phone calls are very, very powerful. And because they're less used now than they've been in the past, because everybody's using text or everybody's using, emails or something like that. And so that's really important. She locks that in because it really doesn't take that much time. And then you could reverse engineer it. If we wanted to, we could reverse engineer it and say, what did she say? The words, and then the tone, and then the flow, and how it went. So excellent. Anything else, Nora, you got?
Not right now.
Becky, what you got?
Um, well, I have to make a call today to a man. I think he lives in Colorado. And I'm kind of afraid I'm going to mess it up.
It's good if you do. Then you'll learn something. So you're good. That's okay. That's totally cool. That'd be so cool if you messed it up. Oh, I can't wait for it to happen.
I don't want to mess this one up. That's the
No,
problem.
it's fine. It's okay. If you do, you'll be fine. And plus, you're a woman. So somehow women have the ability to, they just land on their feet. Like even messing it up, they don't. It all works out fine.
So we're kind of like a cat. If you throw it
Kind of
in the
like,
air, we
yep,
always land on her.
yep, exactly. That's how it works. Yep. There's an advantage to being a woman for sure. Use it. Questions?
No.
Okay.
And then I have to do some follow-ups with the booklets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, so now that we got that out of the way, you don't have a fear of messing up. Okay. So don't worry about it. You'll be fine. The only thing I'm concerned about in working with people is integrity, like you guys. Like if you make mistakes, if you mess up, if you do this or whatever, whatever, this stuff happens. It's okay. Don't be concerned about that. Integrity, I get concerned about. Now, integrity is a little bit different for me. Like if we say we're going to do something, we say we're going to do it. Like it is. Like there's not ever a good reason not to follow through on what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to call in a week, you get a call in a week. If you say you're going to, or sooner. And so integrity is just, to me, it's just, you say you're going to do something, like my word is my bond. So I never know how many stories to use with you guys. And so, but I'm not just using it with you, I'm using it with every single person that goes through this program. So future people that you guys are going to make money on, you get to make money, develop them and not even be there. They just listen. And so Edward Rivera, he was a friend of ours and a client of ours, used to own a mortgage company, went to Moody Bible Institute to become a pastor. I called him up once and I said, I was talking to him. I said, man, pastors just drive me crazy. It's just, man, they irritate me. He laughs. He says, why is that, Mark? I said, they don't have any integrity. It's like, what do you mean? I said, they say they're going to do things and they don't do it. He says, well, we're all human. Pastors are human just like the rest of us. I said, like, really, dude? You're going to use that on me? I'm like, really? He's like, what do you mean? I said, we've known each other for what, 20 years? It's like, yeah. I said, is there ever one time in 20 years, ever in one time in 20 years, where I've ever said I was going to do something I didn't do? He paused. He's like, no, not that I can remember. And maybe there was one time, and if there was, I would have corrected. I apologized, tried to fix it, make sure that bad boy never happens again. Like it's like when people come up with so integrity is really, really, really important in sales. Like as you get better and better at sales, you're able to learn how to schmooze people. You're able to learn how to move people. And it's easy to go ahead, like a police officer, it's easy to go ahead and become, hardened to death or messy stuff because you see it. Or a therapist because you see it every day. Or a pastor, you see it every day. You just see mess every day and you just become hardened to it. In sales, and so, is your product really as good as you say it is? And so you remember with every single sale you make, like, what did I lead them to believe? What did I say? And I'm going to always over deliver. I'm always going to give more than what. So the more you say, the more you have to do. Now, so Becky doesn't have to worry about it. You're fine. You'll be fine because the integrity is there. As long as the integrity is there, you don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry. I'm not concerned about any mistake you guys make, as long as the integrity. Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, you don't have to worry about it. It's fine. Well, what do you think you're going to mess up on?
I don't know.
All you're doing is asking questions. You're just being curious. And you're a curious person. So you're it's just inside of you. It's just who you are. You're just curious about, and you're really interested in people. So you're just curious. You're just asking questions. You're just interested in that person and what's going on in their life. So it's like your sons, especially your younger ones. As they get older, they get sassier. Younger ones are really curious, 1,000 questions, mom. And it gets tiresome being a mom and asking, answering, why is this? Lincoln's just like, why? Like, why? Like, why? It's just awesome. I mean, for me, I'm not his mom who gets the 300 questions a day. And so you're just being curious and you're just like, that's what you're doing. And as long as you do that, you'll be fine. Makes sense?
Okay. Yep.
Cool. Kenny, what you got?
So I was kind of surprised yesterday. I closed a sale
Nice.
that I did not expect to close when I gave him the price when I did the interview, the estimate. So that was good.
Right?
There was, that was the person that was expecting a discount from us, so I added, 5%. to her price. And then he didn't ask for a discount. So maybe we need to increase our price. I don't know. I don't know what that
I think
means.
you guys are underpriced. I think there's no question. When you first start out in business, that's what you tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so now it's like, do we deliver on a higher price? Do we have a higher quality? Do we go ahead and have like, and then it's not just now, it's on everything. Like when I do volunteer work, I have the same standards for volunteer work that I do when I get paid to do stuff, like integrity and high quality work and follow through and all of those types of things. Again, it's just character. It's who we are. So awesome. So your thoughts on that or questions on that or what you learned from it or what you'll do with it?
I guess I don't want to assume that people, I don't want to assume that the job's not going to go through, the estimate's not going to go through before I try it, or because I don't know if this one
Right.
went through, then, and everyone could.
Right. And that's the thing, your psychological, your energy. If you believe something, if you believe you're not going to get the sale, you often won't. Henry Ford. And, so if you believe a thing to be true or believe it not to be true, either way, you're right. So the psychic energy, the energy we have, all of our being and who we are, is in sales. And so the sale is made in asking the question far more than presenting the solution.
Uh-huh.
And so it's the connection. Nora is very, very attentive to things. And so that helps her in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so the energy, so what she's attentive to when she's there with me in sales, she's seeing flow. And she's learning how to do it. Like Lincoln, he's very attentive, like his mother. Like he's very attentive and he's picking up stuff. And so yesterday, Nora and I went on a crazy sales, well, it wasn't a sales call, it was actually servicing, but it turned into something a lot more. And that one, I was very, very attentive to Nora and including her. And so one was Amish, the other was not. And so I didn't know the other guy was going to be there, and he came in a half an hour later. And what I did is I opened up space between. I backed away. He came in, shook his hand, introduced myself, backed away, and I said, "This is Nora," and then created. So there's energy in here, and so I need to go ahead and as in the Amish, you know, I've had lunches where the very successful business guy was actually there at lunch with Elaine and I. He wouldn't even barely look at her or acknowledge her. It's like she wasn't even there. It was just weird. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And so what I need to do is I need to be aware. And so it's hard for Nora to insert herself, largely because of how she's trained. But the double analytic, that analytic and amiable, they're going to have a hard time inserting themselves. So that's my responsibility in partnering up with her and teaming up in sales with her and servicing with her. And she did really good. Like she was really, really good. And so it's creating that connection where we're all part of the situation. And I looked at her and sought input, and she got up and she looked at one of the fans that's battery operated. It was really she got this down. And it was really, really cool. Luke, what you got, sir?
So yesterday I talked with a business owner that would definitely benefit, or I think he would benefit from Action Vision. How do I refer someone else to, I don't know why, but I was kind of concerned or scared of referring someone else. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, the reason why is the brain works like this. It's like I gain no benefit from it, and it could hurt a relationship, especially in the coaching, because part of coaching is telling people what they don't want to hear. You know, so part of coaching is telling people what they don't want to hear. And so it's like, it's hard. It's like, and so how do you get over that? And so the servicing team is getting, the Action Vision certified coaches, they are really largely women, and women are going to service, especially men, well. And so they're caring and nurturing, and men are going to like that. And um, so they're going to handle it very, very carefully, maybe too carefully. And so they're going to go ahead and work very hard. They're going to work very, very hard to create like a like a passageway, any benefit that comes from, you know. So Nora, she's experienced, like Jonathan gave us 6 referrals, and Nora sees how careful I am with those. We will pass on a sale before we will go ahead, because we understand most relationships are very weak. Most friendships aren't very strong. They're very fragile. And so anything we do can go ahead and impact. But there's ways you can minimize it as well. You just share your experience with Action Vision coaching. So the way to refer it is you ask what their biggest challenge is, and then you say, that's interesting. Tell me more, like in business. So you're not just there for construction. You're not just there to get the business. You're there to develop a relationship. So you go ahead and say, what's your biggest, I'm curious, like, what's your biggest challenge you're facing in your business? And they tell you, that's interesting. Tell me more. I mean, it takes a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes, and they tell you and say, you could say, and you just play with the different ways of doing it. You say, I'm on a Action Vision. It's executive coaching, business coaching, and I'm telling you, it's helped us in business crazy. They can be tough when they need to be tough, but they're unbelievable smart. So you work with Nora and Becky. You work with Nora and Becky on how do you want it referred? How do you want it introduced? And then you make the introduction. And then strong communication back and forth. What's going on? So their goal is to develop the relationship so strong. Like Tom Ninnis, he referred us over $260,000 in business in 15 months. And once Rosanna came up to the office and was walking by, and I was ripping, somebody. And when I went home that night, she went ahead and said, "Who are you ripping?" I said, "Oh, that was Tom Minnis." She says, "Isn't he the one that referred us $260,000?" I said, "Yeah." And she says, "You can't talk to him like that." I'm like, "No, honey, that's why he referred us $260,000." She says, "I don't understand why people pay you." I'm like, right? You and the kids get it for free, like other people pay for it. And so, but you're not going to get that with the ladies. The ladies are not going to go ahead. They just aren't. And so they are like, if I'm going to be like the good cop and bad cop, and even me, I'm really careful about it now. So you'll be in good hands, like really good hands. And then what they do is, if it's right for the customer, and it almost always is going to be, they will build an architect. If they go on Action Vision, they will build and architect the plan to connect into your plan into their plan, where you can accomplish so much more together than you ever could on your own. And then if it's local based with Shipshe, then you've got the coffee connection. And, if you and Kenny ever, create enough successful of a company where you guys can be consistent for 30 minutes, a week, you could join a, podcast and those things, I'm telling you, those things into building relationships, learning how to sell, creating connections. Oh, it's crazy. What else you got, Luke?
So another thing, so we're in construction and we have a goal, or for me, I have a goal of 1.25 in sales just for me that I sell. And I was thinking it'd be a lot easier doing 10, $120,000 buildings versus 50 plus $20,000 roofs. Like am I delusional? It won't be easier. It'll just be different or,
It'll be very different. It'll be easier in some ways and harder in other ways. And so, where people make money is not in the creative. It's, McDonald's, became a billionaire. Why? Because of hamburgers. Sam Walton, billionaire because of little things sold. So you have little things that go and it's just a machine. And so when you're selling, you think, well, if I can sell $100,000 sale versus a $10,000 sale, it's going to be easier. Well, it is and it's not. It is and it's not. And so, it's harder to get the leads. It's harder to often convert the sale, especially with your younger, like people are going to say, well, a roof, that's not real complicated. Putting an addition on, that's complicated. With a roof, you're going to have, I don't know, three, in a 1 to 10 complexity and problems, you might have a 3, but putting on $100,000 addition, well, that could be an 8.
mm-hmm.
And so they're different. And so the key is to get where you make a lot of money is a machine. It's just, you just go ahead and get the machine going. And it's an assembly line. It's like a factory. Like you get really, really good. Like you guys are in construction, and we were talking the other day about something, and Kenny's like, yeah, we make more money when we contract out, pay somebody else to do it because they're just more efficient than we are. And so if you get somebody who's really, really good, the servicing is what's the tricky part. So if you get somebody really good and you're in flow with them, you're in flow with them. The key is to be in flow. And when your sales team is different company than your servicing team, that's dicey. Because you don't have control over them. They don't have control over you. They're not part of this. Could they be? They might. I don't know. But you got to make it to where you guys are in flow. So when something doesn't happen, when something doesn't work, the customer's unhappy, you've got to go ahead and, if they're blaming you, you're blaming them. It's all about the customers, but customers are like kids and they'll work you. They'll work you against each other. It's insane. And you guys are actually looking at being almost like which is ironic, where you have people, hirees, maybe for your own company, but maybe for other companies too. So it's like you're changing an entire industry. You're like Bluegate. You're like the Bluegate of construction. That's a good thing. We're like the Bluegate of construction. It's all about the experience. So you want the experience to be like most construction companies. They want you to go ahead and be happy with the end product, but not the experience. It's all clunky. It's all monkey. It's all kind of kooky, like everything. Anybody else have anything else? Sales is listening. Listening really, really careful. And then it's communicating. And it's executing. So it's listening, executing, and communicating. So what are going to be the most important things where we hit Monday morning on this? What's going to be the most important things for you guys?
Having a plan for next week.
So having a plan for next week, one thing, like, this is the plan. Good. What else?
Have watched the next video or the
So
next
having
level.
watched, yeah, we need to go ahead and go in and talk about those things more. Good. Hadn't thought about that. What else? You guys can help Nora. So there's three things I said at the very beginning. So one is preparation, review, preparation. Okay. And you should do that every day.
Quantity and quality.
Quantity and quality. So your pressure point analysis every morning, you start out and say, hey, this is what I had yesterday. And then the third thing is making sure that this training is really, really good for the future generation. So making sure, and so do each of you take one of those things. So sales is reflex. It's very much like construction, except it's mental. It's like how fast can you get it done? Quantity and quality. Fast work and quality of work. Same thing here. So you want to listen and you want to be able to communicate. So Nora's fast. She's fast on her feet, on her mind, on how she processes things and how she takes notes and how she goes through things. You guys all want to learn that. All right. Anything else? Okie dokie. Good work. You guys are awesome. This is starting to get fun. We'll see ya.